Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Microsoft Flight Simulator news and updates. And Navigraph just may have finally created the greatest tool to ever hit flight simulation. There's an update from PMDG on all variants of their aircraft, as well as the bone has reached Microsoft Flight Simulator and a little bit more, so stick around. If you are interested in acquiring any of my Overkill's tutorial guides from Microsoft Flight Simulator, or simply interested in supporting the channel, please consider joining us on Patreon. Patreon subscribers level tier 2 and above have access to all of my guides, as well as any future releases that come down the road. Patreon link can be found in the description below.
Overkill simulations, watch us as we fly. Overkill simulations, a thrill will never die.
All right, guys, as always, I'm going to start out by being a pain in the ass and asking that you guys, if you're interested in checking out my other adventures, other kinds of simulations, games, etc., please click the link down in the description below. It's to my second YouTube channel. You can find it at youtube.com/@overkillentertainment8. The 8 was not my fault. I had to choose it. Anyways, it would really help me get things off the ground, guys. I want to be able to share other experiences with you guys without breaking the algorithm. So, anyways, that's that out of the way. Now let's start talking about some of the cool stuff. So we're going to start out with the coolest one, in my opinion. This is something that I have been talking about for years that I didn't ever understand, with all of the cool tools and things that we have inside of the simulator, especially when it comes to Simbrief integrations. Why there was never a way to just access everything from Simbrief. Now, don't get me wrong. I work in IT. I understand a lot of background. I get this was quite the undertaking. It just blows me away that nobody ever jumped on this, right? And maybe it was just far more complex than even I am understanding. But we are finally, it's not out yet, but we are finally going to have Simbrief dispatch directly in the sim. What does this mean? You guys can see all the tools on the left-hand side. Anyone who has used Simbrief / Navigraph to create your flight plans, you're already recognizing 90% of the buttons on here. You are going to no longer be required to go to their website in order to create your flight plan. You're going to be able to do it directly from the simulator. This is going to be a huge thing. It doesn't seem like it would, probably to some, but this is going to be a massive game changer. First off, let's talk about some of the buttons across the top. The first one being the one that caught my attention is import into sim. So not only are you going to be able to immediately grab your flight plan without leaving the simulator, and this is going to be really helpful, especially for those who are still running single monitors, or even in VR. By the way, VR, guys, VR. Think about this. VR, you will be able to do it all. Anyway, sorry. You click a button, boom, and it imports it directly into the simulator, meaning directly into the aircraft. Now, I'm not sure how fully that's going to be an operational thing when it comes to third-party aircraft. There are some, like if I remember correctly, PMDG sort of has their own line of code that sort of works with that. But I mean, I have a hard time believing that Navigraph isn't going to be integrated automatically when it comes to PMDG. But I know for a fact that this was already given to some testers. If you search for it on YouTube, you can find a couple of people who have had access to it. I really wish I was one of them, and I'm going to try to become one. But it's really slick, and it was working. The video that I saw, it was working very, very fast. It was very responsive, which I was blown away. The other thing is the takeoff and landing. Those are the calculators, guys. So, and for those of you who don't know, the Simbrief calculator is pretty damn good. It's not perfect, right? And it's based on the profile of the aircraft that you're using as well. But it is a really solid, I've used it multiple times, and although sometimes the numbers to what I get, whether I'm using charts or things like that, or the actual POHs, aren't quite as the same, or even like when I'm using like a working title and letting the working title software, the avionics, calculate all the landing speeds and whatnot, there's always some discrepancies, but it's never given me numbers that didn't work. Right. So obviously it's pretty on point. So it's a really, really nice tool. But think about everything that we're constantly looking for inside the simulator, right? Check out the weather and NOTAM on the left-hand side, performance and tools, right? Everything is going to be directly in the sim. Now that profile pre-file, excuse me. I believe, if I remember correctly, that is for things like VATSIM, right? So you can get everything loaded up, ready to go everything from the simulator. This is something that I have wanted inside the sim for so long. You know, we've had the abilities to read the OFPs, which was fine. My thing is why I never really jumped on those. Even when it comes to the tablets or the EFBs inside the aircraft, I don't really use them to see the OFP because for most aircraft, there's a couple of exceptions where they were really thought ahead on that one. And I can't remember which one it was. I was just messing with it the other day. 777? No. It's not the 777. Maybe it is a 777 where you can move the EFB over right next to the MCDU. So when you're entering your flight plan, you can see the OFP side by side. Maybe that is the 777. Now I'm second guessing myself. Anyway, you would think with as deep dive as I've been getting that damn thing, I'd know everything about it. I know where the scratches underneath the seat are. So anyway, it was always requiring that extra step. So I always just pulled it up on a PDF. And like if I had the 2D going anyway, I have a Samsung Galaxy, the G9 monitor, the super ultra wide 49-inch wide monitor. And so it was never really a big deal. Just like if I had to use the second window anyway, I would just have it on a PDF. But this changes so much and so many things and offers so many new possibilities. One of the really cool things that I'm actually really looking forward to is, again, going back to that multi-monitor display configuration, is if you can pop it out in the sim, that means you can drag it to whatever screen you want and have it constantly available. Doing multiple connection flights, right? You know, doing multiple hops. This is going to make that a heck of a lot more fun, a lot easier. You're not going to have to keep bouncing back and forth. You just land and start programming your next flight. It's just going to add a lot. And I'm really impressed that they are doing this. It's interesting that they're doing this right as 2020 is quote unquote coming to an end. You guys know what I mean, the birth of 2024, right? You know, we're 15 days away from Flight Simulator 2024, assuming all goes well. And so I'm really hoping that they have access to 24 and that this is going to be integrated into 24 because like this is beautiful. Anyways, if you guys can't tell, I'm super excited by this particular feature, and I think this is probably one of the best flight plan tools to ever hit the in-game windows, the toolbar. And it's something that I think that the Sims have needed for a very long time. And so, boom, it's not out yet. We don't have a confirmed release date yet. But like I said, it's already in the hands of some content creators. And it was none of the big names, by the way. But anyway, yeah, so stay tuned for more on that. Speaking of the 777, so PMDG has shared status updates on just about all three aircraft. Now, I'm going to make this short and sweet, guys, for this one. The 777, I have to admit that when it comes to PMDG and their announcements, sometimes like silence could be better, right? We get these updates and we're like, hey, we're gonna, and I think the same thing happened with the 737 too. We're gonna have hopefully the 777 freighter out before the end of October. Well, that's come and gone, and now we don't have an expected release date of the 777 freighter. We know that it's in testing, and the testing is going well. I'm not sure what held it back, but just to let you guys know, it is in development still. It is moving along nicely. Testing has shown to be rather successful. We don't have any new expectation, as I said, as to when the 777 freighter is going to be released, but hopefully very, very soon, because it is one that I'm excited for too. We need a good freighter aircraft. This will be a nice one. Next up, on the 737, if you are a 737 driver, guys, make sure that you go to the PMDG Operations Center and update it. They did put out a minor update that fixes a lot of the bugs that were created in the previous patch. A lot of those have already been resolved. So if you guys have not yet already, make sure that you update your 737 from PMDG from Microsoft Flight Simulator. And finally, a little bit of information on the 747. So as we've all known and suspected for a long time, the 747 is in active development for PMDG, but there's a little bit of a catch. For Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024, there will be an exclusive 2024 release of the 747-100. So the original, the big king dog, or queen dog, I should say. Anyway, so they are pushing out the 747-400, And alongside it will be the 100, but the 100, as I said, will be exclusive to Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. So keep that in mind. Personally, as much as I like nostalgia, I'm actually more excited for the 400. I want the 400. Actually would like the Dash 8, but from PMDG, I think that would be a great version of it. But in the meantime, Salty has done an absolutely amazing job with the in-game one, so I'm not going to complain too much here. So we know that we are getting the 747-400. We know that we're getting the 747-100 with an expected later release of the SP and a later release, hopefully, of Air Force One, which I could take it to leave it when it comes to Air Force One. Cool aircraft. I just want a good 747. So there is again the quick update from PMDG. Again, 737 drivers, don't forget to update your bird. AnyBuilds has released the Bone. That is the B1B Lancer. It gets its name Bone from the designation B1. The B1 is a varial sweep-wing designed supersonic bomber. Now, if I actually remember correctly, I'm going to make a little correction. Maybe you guys can help me out here because I could be mistaken. But if memory serves, the B1A was supersonic. The B1B is not, if I remember correctly. Again, by all means, fact check me, but I'm pretty sure that's the case. Anyways, the really cool thing about AnyBuilds building this particular aircraft is they do absolutely fantastic work. Now, as you guys can see, it is fully animated aircraft. It also has CFD, or I believe it's computational fluid dynamics, if I remember correctly, something like that. Basically meaning that the flight dynamics of the aircraft are very, very on point, right? All of the navigation systems and overall startup procedures and things like that have been accurately modeled. The aircraft aerodynamics, again, have been accurately modeled. Again, there's the supersonic flight capability. Now, one of the things that makes the B1 really cool, as you guys saw in the cockpit view, was that it is flown with a stick. I believe it's the only bomber, full-scale heavy-load bomber, that is flown with a stick. It's a very, very badass aircraft. It's a very, very loud aircraft. Funny enough, I actually heard one take off out of here in Tucson about a month ago, and holy crap, it was cool. And it was like at 9 o'clock at night of all things. I'm surprised they got away with the sound ordinance that Tucson has, but it is the Air Force, so let them have their fun. But yeah, dude, it was incredible watching that thing grip it and rip it over at night. It was cool. Okay, that one's kind of dope for Halloween. That was kind of cool. I'm not going to lie. That was kind of dope. I was not expecting that. Anyways, so you guys can pick this up on the AnyBuilds website for around $30 US, give or take a little bit. But that is the B1 Lancer. Again, the Bone, a very, very awesome, very, very powerful, very, very heavy load bomber. Very capable aircraft, you guys. Very, very cool. So super excited for this one. I will be picking this one up. I don't get a lot of military aircraft when it comes to Microsoft Flight Simulator, simply because of the fact that, honestly, to AnyBuilds, why aren't you building for DCS World? Like, seriously, I'm telling you they would take the Bone if it was accurate. Anyway. It's just combat aircraft in Microsoft Flight Simulator for me. It's kind of fun for a minute, but I prefer the warbirds. I love, but when it comes like the modern jets and things like that, it's like, okay, I mean, you can fly around, but then what? Like the intensity of flying one of these aircraft is, you know, dropping something that goes boom. Anyways, there it is. And last up on our list is we have a new donationware available here for Microsoft Flight Simulator, and actually, I guess really all the aircraft. That is the eLoadControl. This was developed by a bunch of ground crew operators who are specialized and familiar, I should say, not specialized, but familiar with the creation and accurate loading of real-world aircraft. So what this essentially does, and it can work in tandem with Simbrief, is basically takes your data and gives you an accurate load sheet. So if you're looking to really enhance that virtual pilot experience, it gives you a load sheet to correctly set your load, whether it be payload, cargo, your weight distribution for center of gravity, which then those numbers can be used to accurately calculate landing and takeoff and your other performance numbers. So it's a tool designed, again, to give you the most realistic experience possible rather than just dropping in the numbers at random and hoping that you get it right, which is kind of like what I do. So here are the primary features of this software. And again, so you can go into, by the way, there's an account creation, you log in, you register. I haven't done it yet. We're going to check it out in full detail. I just found out about this today. But here are the primary features. It can do weight and balance calculations. The app calculates percent of MAC and as well, or for zero fuel weight, takeoff weight, and landing weight. The load sheet and load plan generation produces a load sheet for the virtual pilot, which can be used for takeoff performance calculations and load planning, distributing cargo across various cargo sections for the virtual ground crew. And then also ACARS messaging generates and sends ACARS messages to your cockpit using the Hoppies network. So aircraft that are going to be able to take advantage of that, like one that pops right out of the top of my head right now, is the A380, the A320 from Fly-By-Wire, I believe the Phoenix A320, as well as the PMDG series of aircraft. They can all, if I remember correctly, they all accept the Hoppies login. So if you create a Hoppies network login, you can use this tool to have that load sheet generated and sent directly to the aircraft. So really slick tool here. And again, this is a donationware, meaning that you just have to donate. And I don't even think it's required that you don't. Let's get into that for a second. Let's see what we got. Well, here, let's just do this. Let's go to about eLoadControl. I'm looking about. Doesn't say anything actually about a price being required. So yeah, you just donate if you feel that it's worth donating. So let's see here. Does it ask me anything? All right, I'll take care of all this and we'll do an extended video on this probably tomorrow because it's pretty slick. But anyway, as always, my friends, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, found some useful information and some things to be excited about. I'm super excited for the Navigraph Simbrief integration directly into the flight simulator. I think that's going to be absolutely phenomenal. That's probably my favorite part of everything that I've seen. And I'm pretty stoked about the Bone, the B1. It's a pretty badass aircraft. Even if I only fly it once, I'll probably get my 30 bucks out of it. As always, guys, stay safe and healthy. Don't forget to join my second channel, and I'll see you in the next one.